Welcome to our presentation on the psychology of working and counseling for work and relationships.
Postmodern career theories arose from a need to address the changing world of work and to be more inclusive of all workers. Traditional theories were directed towards the white middle class and more specifically men. These traditional theories were created to help people make choices and to fit into jobs. However, a clear case developed for shifting the focus away from those with privileges and relative access to choices, in order to embrace those whose work lives did not provide such opportunities for self determination and self expression. Feminist theory proposed that career development is influenced by gender and power. The psychology of working specifically addressed these gendered considerations and relational influences of work that stems from feminist theories. The psychology of working has since adopted a more postmodern social constructionist perspective, where they still focus on social justice, which was and remains a large part of feminist theories. This social constructionist perspective suggests that our culture, including gender, race, socioeconomic status, and so forth, works to create what we know of careers. This perspective fosters a shift in vocational psychology from helping people develop careers to helping people construct lives through work and relationship. This focus on working rather than career opens the accessibility of counseling to those who don't have a career or who think they don't have a career. For example, people who are stay at home moms, people who are unemployed, or people who have to work just to work or survive. The development of the contemporary psychology of working perspective can be traced directly to the contribution by Mary Richardson in 1993. She argued convincingly that psychologists needed to reframe their focus. This focus included, firstly, an emphasis on working rather than careers, as well as an expansion of prevailing psychological perspectives to embrace social constructionism. Attention was given both to care work and market work as well, as was the exploration of working from a comprehensive interdisciplinary perspective. Further advancements in the field have been made predominantly by David L. Bluestein, Ryan D. Duffy, and their colleagues. They worked to develop a set of ideas and theories that sought to transform vocational psychology and expand its overall impact. The psychology of working theory has worked to highlight and examine the role of human rights in the workplace, the impact of work in the fulfillment of essential needs, such as need for survival, social connection, and self determination, and the relation of work related issues within broader psychological, social, and economic contexts. Psychology of working is framed around the following tenets or assumptions. Firstly, that work is a central part of real life. Work has the potential to fulfill three fundamental human needs as mentioned before: the need for survival and power, the need for social connection, and the need for self determination. Working is a central organizing aspect of life, and it is one that connects people across historical and cultural boundaries, promoting or inhibiting mental health and well being, and establishing the basis for healthy, safe, and nurturing communities. Working is also important to mental health. Central to the psychology of working perspective is that working has the potential to foster and sustain positive mental health. Considerable scholarship supports this view, including studies of the impact of unemployment and underemployment, in which mental health problems have been causally linked to the absence of working. In addition, the availability of dignified work has been associated with reductions in mental health problems, antisocial behavior, and other maladaptive behaviors. Working is a key component of human experience and should be a major focal point in counseling. Work is seen as integral component which is connected with all other areas of a person's life and experience. Therefore, the focus on work should be integrated in all forms of counseling and not relegated to domains of career counseling exclusively. Work related issues can often be intertwined with psychological and interpersonal problems. This acknowledges that work shares psychological space with many other salient life domains with mutual and recursive impact. In other words, this perspective highlights that a person's working life greatly impacts their psychological and interpersonal lives, and that these parts of their lives impact their working life as well. Work includes efforts within the marketplace as well as caregiving work. This is an idea that is not often sanctioned socially and economically, especially as women worldwide increasingly participate in the market work economy. This poses challenges to all in the effort to accomplish the tasks of economic production and social reproduction. Most significantly, the devaluation of personal and market care work contributes to social inequality, both material in terms of economic resources and in relation to the deficits of care. As more women participate in market work, men and women with economic resources can afford to hire others, usually women, to help them perform their personal care work. Because of societal devaluation of care work, these paid care work positions are frequently poorly paid, resulting in oppressive or suboptimal market conditions for those who do this work, and further leading to a deficit of care in the families of the women who take these positions.
Psychology of working makes clear that there is an urgent need to develop a more inclusive perspective with respect to individuals who do not experience much, if any, volition in their work lives. Psychology of working also acknowledges that the notion of choice itself is not a typical construct for the working class, poor, and other marginalized people. The theory highlights that the access to work is constrained by powerful social, economic, and political forces. It also addresses the need for psychological and systemic interventions to include all of those who work and who want to work. The psychology of working has its lens on the micro-individual level, as well looking to change and evolve the status quo on the macro, societal level. This theory has the potential to advance progress in the realm of what is considered decent work, and in human rights and the satisfaction of central human needs overall. To more fully understand the psychological nature of working, careful considerations are needed of relevant social, economic, political, and historic forces which shape, constrain, and facilitate many aspects of contemporary working.
This is the theoretical model for the psychology of working to help understand how people work from each level of social economic status. The model is to draw attention to the psychological and contextual factors to predict decent work variables that can be associated to wider areas of vocational, multicultural, and other applied psychology-based knowledge to create research-based strategies and policy recommendations for a more inclusive, secure, effective, and meaningful working in the community. The predictors of securing decent work are looking at barriers such as workers who experience marginalization, as in race and gender inequalities. Another variable is looking at economic constraint, since economic stress can have a great impact on the individual in securing decent work. The mediators of the model are work volition and career adaptability to feel in control and having a choice or having the self-efficacy to complete a task, which can be difficult when having less power or economic constraint. The mediators that may support the barriers are an individual having a proactive personality when faced with difficulty, a critical consciousness, having social support, and assessing economic conditions. Finally, the outcome of decent work are survival needs, social connection, and self-determination needs, which can guide to work fulfillment and well-being. I will further discuss the needs in the following slides. The first function of having a satisfying work experience and securing decent work is having survival and power needs met. Decent work should allow an individual to survive, such as being able to access food, shelter, safety, that can be linked to Maslow's theory of human motivation of having psychological needs met before climbing to higher needs, such as self-actualizing. Also, decent work needs to allow workers to a safe working conditions and a fair income. There are times when grand career narrative is not always achievable for all due to humanity that has been plagued by various forms of structural barriers based on race, culture, immigration status, religion, gender, age, sexual orientation, and social class that can have a differential impact on individuals. Likewise, people desire psychological, economic, and social power, such as wealth and status. However, not everyone has equal access to education, training, and other resources to obtain their fulfilling work. The second outcome to decent work is having social connection or social support. It is innate for humans to have the need for connection, bonding relationships, and support from fellow workers and family and friends. When an individual feels isolated, this can have a negative effect on his or her well-being and job performance. Not only can the worker feel connected at the micro level, but can feel a sense of connection at a macro level with the social, political, and economic world. The third function of decent work is self-determination, which is being able to experience internal and external motivation while involved in certain tasks. The reality is many people may not have intrinsically meaningful careers, so it may be important to explore how external motivation activities can be internalized within the work to make the job more rewarding. A person may internally find the job meaningful, not merely for survival, but interjected regulation, also known as external motivation, such as supporting a family, obtaining medical benefits, or experience in a certain program. Also, autonomy, competence, and relatedness play a role in healthy human functioning according to STD. This may be used for workers to have access to further opportunities such as training and workshops to feel motivated and hoping to find similar values and goals that match with the organization's goals. As seen from previous slides, decent work is an important piece when looking at the psychology of working. Some critical factors to examine decent work are physical and interpersonally safe working conditions, such as having a just workplace where all individuals from different backgrounds can feel secure and freedom from oppression, hours that allow for free time and personal care, work values that align with family and social values, suitable compensation, and access to fair health care. Some examples of an assessment that can support clients to build transferable skills to the labor change is a guided exercise and personal inventory by Richard Bolles for the manual for job hunting and career changing to help guide an individual through a process through his book called What Color is Your Parachute? There are several editions of his book. One of the latest one has the flower activity aiming to help a client visualize their strengths and needs for the following. Number 1, my favorite knowledges or fields of interest. Number 2, my preferred kind of people to do work with. Number 3, what I can do and love to do. My favorite working conditions, my preferred salary and level of responsibility, my preferred places to live, and my goal, purpose, or mission in life. It is encouraged for a career counselor to work with the client using this type of activity to help the client to assess and develop new skills. Clients and counselors can collaborate to identify and access needed skills. Below is a link to find other activities and extended ebooks to possibly try on your own. Part of counseling for work and relationship is association between personal care and work, such as care of self, others, and communities. There are various types of personal care, such as self-care, care of children or elderly, and volunteering in the community, for example, in a shelter. In order to create an instrument, it is first to categorize different types of personal care work and assess participation in the person care work to explore the values of personal care workers and the importance to market work. SCAFAR is in the progress to develop an inventory of personal care work values that uses similar ideas from SUPER's work values inventory. The other type is salience inventory where it discusses career salience its relation to congruence between self-concept and occupation perception, as well as the relationship between congruence and occupational satisfaction. Also, how individuals view their work and how they feel motivated, and how self-esteem can be related to career salience. These various measures will help to measure and investigate patterns of participation in personal care work, the values of personal care workers, and the feelings of personal care work with different individuals. For example, looking at personal care on the gendered social practice of care work and the relationship between personal care work and market, as well as aging, such as retirement in relation to personal care work. Finally, Super's work values inventory is a useful invention that can be integrated when working with clients in career-related issues such as career decisions, decent work, or personal care work. There are 12 scales measuring, which include lifestyle, work environment, security, and other such dimensions. The assessment can help the clients to narrow down work values and interests. Below is an online work values exercise where you can try on your own to learn about your values. The narrative approach has been an important part of assessing counseling of work and relationships and can be useful in looking at decent work. Storytelling helps to capture raw human experiences and how it relates to a career development, such as exploring vocational identity, career commitment, and work salience. Some career-related narrative tools are structured interviews and Holland's self-directed search. Through narrative tool and integrating such as Holland theory, clients can connect, reflect, and learn by creating and changing experiences into knowledge, skills, attitudes, values, beliefs, and emotions, and further on constructing these experiences in their career development. The integrative structured interview and using Holland codes can help to construct rich stories of personality and work environment.
The psychology of working approach integrates all aspects of life into counseling, not just career. However, this approach can be layered over other career counseling approaches, such as Holland's theory of personality or Super's developmental theory. Psychology of working builds on self-determination theory to make work more meaningful by creating more opportunities for autonomy, relatedness, competence, value congruence, and access to the opportunity structure. This psychology of working approach offers interventions for those who do not have career volition and may have been previously excluded from career counseling. This approach seeks to help clients expand their volition or ability to make choices surrounding their career. Work volition is the perception of choice related to career. This perception of choice can be limited because of very real barriers. However, increases in work volition are correlated to a variety of positive outcomes. Counselors can help clients discover choices they were not previously aware of, and this can foster an attitude that increases results for the individual. Career adaptability is a psychological construct. It relates to an individual's ability to continually develop skills as needed and to adapt to changes in the workplace. High career adaptability is correlated with decent work. Counselors can help clients increase career adaptability by addressing 4 C's. Concern is developed as individuals think about their career future. Control is increased as individuals increase their self-efficacy. Counselors can aid in this process through discussions on what the client does have control of in their lives while still acknowledging real barriers. Curiosity is an interest in personal development and career opportunities, both of which can be fostered through the career counseling process. Confidence can be fostered by emphasizing personal successes, such that a client can identify times when they have successfully completed tasks and believe they can be successful at similar tasks in the future. Li Liang and Krant define a proactive personality as, quote, a disposition toward making personal initiative to influence one's environment, end quote. A proactive personality has been shown to moderate the impact of negative social factors and make an individual more likely to find decent work. Inclusive psychological practice is promoted within the psychology of working perspective and in counseling for work and relationships. Bluestein, Kenna, Gill, and DeVoy highlight 4 elements of inclusive psychological practice. First, counselors can help clients foster empowerment by helping them to develop assertiveness skills. Empowerment can also be increased through setting and achieving goals, and counselors can promote goal setting by helping their clients develop goal setting skills, emotional resources, and confidence. Fostering empowerment can also include an emphasis on developing skills, talents, and abilities, particularly skills that are in demand in today's workforce. Counselors can work alongside clients to foster critical consciousness together. This means paying attention to economic, sociocultural, and political factors. In this area, the counselor may be able to learn a great deal from clients as clients share their own experiences. Counselors can validate clients who have experienced racism or social barriers. Counselors will appear more authentic to clients in this regard if they personally explore and then are willing to discuss the privileges that they bring to the exchange. Counselors play a very important role in promoting clients' skill building for the changing workforce. It is not enough for counselors to identify areas where the client could build skills. The counselor must provide some access to resources that can aid clients in developing these skills. To provide scaffolding and supportive volition, counselors need to move beyond a one-on-one counseling role and again, connect clients with other resources that can help with scaffolding. This may require counselors to advocate on behalf of their clients or participate in social justice initiatives. While interventions in the counseling for work and relationships theory are similar to those in the psychology of working theory, there are some differences. The counseling for work and relationship approach draws on interventions from social constructivist, feminist, and narrative theories. Narrative theory and agentic action are integrated so that the therapy is future-oriented while still helping to reshape the stories of the past. Agentic action is deliberate action in areas where a person can affect real change in their lives. In counseling for work and relationships, interventions should be holistic, covering all aspects of life. The therapeutic process involves helping clients become comfortable with their own subjectivity, helping clients participate in reflective processing, helping clients analyze if their actions are agentic, and challenging clients to see greater potential for agentic change. These interventions are used to focus on 4 specific areas of need for clients, thereby incorporating that holistic approach. Market work refers to paid labor, or education or training that prepares one for future work. Personal care work refers to all of the work done in our private lives, not just for ourselves, but for all those we interact with personally. This includes caring for the home, childcare, community service, self-care activities, etc. Personal care relationships are those relationships that take place in the private sphere. These relationships are with family, neighbors, friends, etc. The only relationships not included in personal care relationships are those that relate to market work, which are called market work relationships. These could be relationships with coworkers, bosses, or individuals from other companies with which you may interact. This also refers to friendships that are part of maintaining a business network. Bluestein et al. Provide the case study of a man named Leonard, who was laid off 9 months prior to seeking career counseling. A counseling for work and relationships approach would begin by examining the 4 different areas of work and relationships in Leonard's life. In terms of market work, Leonard joined the military after high school, where he was eventually injured in a driving accident. After that, Leonard pursued an associate degree in business at a community college. From there, Leonard worked for the same company for 18 years before being laid off when the company merged with a larger company. In the area of personal care work, Leonard receives mental health counseling at a Veterans Administration hospital to help with PTSD and depression that are a result of his accident while serving in the military. Leonard also needs a certain amount of self-care to manage the chronic pain and reduced mobility because of the accident. Leonard spends some time caring for his children, though they live with his ex-wife, to whom he pays child and spousal support. In the area of personal care relationships, Leonard's relationship with his children, along with other family and friends, would be explored. In the area of market work relationships, Leonard's relationships are limited because he has only worked for the company that laid him off, and this has created space between himself and the people that he knew there. From a psychology of working approach, it is apparent that there are many factors which could be limiting Leonard's career volition. On top of his physical challenges, depression, and PTSD, Leonard reports that he has he has at times experienced discrimination because of his age and/or race, particularly as he has been looking for work. Leonard's financial resources are also strained because he only has a limited veteran's income and pays money to his ex-wife each month. While acknowledging these barriers, a psychology of working counselor would need to find ways to help Leonard expand his career volition. A good counselor would be familiar with possible training programs and financial aid that might be available for such programs. A specific goal of counseling would be to help Leonard increase his career adaptability so that he has more options available to him, while also utilizing strategies from other counseling approaches to help Leonard increase his confidence.
There are some important findings and similarities among individuals from diverse backgrounds. For example, a study by Duffy and colleagues looked at ethnic and racial minority working adults in connection to the psychology of working theory and found marginalization to be negatively connected with decent work, as well as economic constraint. On the other side, the work volition variable is positively correlated to career adaptability and decent work. Although these findings are not surprising, however, work volition should be explored with clients and their views on their work-related choices. Similarly, another study showed work volition had a strong link to social status and career adaptability. The study focused on subjective social status and how the participants viewed their status in their society and their perceived work choices. Individuals with higher social status may have higher work volition and further have secured decent work and feel that they have more choice in their careers. Furthermore, undergrad students felt having more choice in their career decisions allowed them to feel more adapted. Lastly, in another study, social connectedness played a strong role in exploring STEM-related careers among youth from non-dominant populations. Youth from diverse populations will feel more supported in exploring STEM career if they receive nurturing environment such as mentorship and other community programs. Overall, the study shows that feelings of connectedness, work control in one's life, and meaning plays an important role in well-being and quality of work life.
There are many advantages to the psychology of working approach. One advantage is that, though relatively new, this theory has demonstrated predictive value. For example, in their 2017 study, Douglas et al. Demonstrated that amongst those with lower economic status, marginalized individuals had even less success obtaining decent work. This theory is very aware of the intersectionality of clients and the diverse ways that this impacts them. The same Douglas et al. Study showed how being in the sexual minority was not detrimental for obtaining decent work for those in the middle or upper classes, but that obtaining decent work was more difficult for those in the sexual minority who were in a lower socioeconomic class. This theory is particularly beneficial in the way that it incorporates all elements of life into the therapeutic process, thereby helping clients construct lives and not just careers. This counseling approach contrasts some traditional career counseling approaches that counsel individuals regarding career choices. The psychology of working approach provides interventions for all people who work or desire to work, not just those who have a variety of career paths available. Another advantage is the way that this approach contrasts to traditional counseling approaches by elevating the role of work within the counseling process. Although the psychology of working approach looks to extend client volition, it provides counselors with a framework for not blaming the clients for situations that are actually the result of social oppression. The psychology of working theory provides ideas for how employers can make the work environment more fulfilling, even if the job is otherwise mundane. This theory has many implications for public policy as well. For example, it encourages school-to-work programs such as apprenticeships and job shadowing. This theory also advocates for training programs that very specifically provide individuals with skills that are applicable and needed in the current job market. This theory challenges current approaches to counseling and encourages that people's relationship with work be given a more elevated status in counseling, and that this counseling be offered to those who historically have not been able to afford counseling. Finally, because the psychology of working was created in a way that allows it to adapt to changes in society as they are occurring, it continues to play an adaptive role within the field of counseling. There are also some disadvantages associated with the psychology of working theory. First, it does not take a value-neutral stance, which could be isolating to some clients who hold values that don't mesh well with the theory. Although many aspects of the psychology of working theory have transpired in the research, some aspects of the theory have not. For example, Douglas et al. Found that marginalization due to a sexual minority status was not correlated with social class. The psychology of working theory acknowledges its own shortcomings in terms of offering specific clinical interventions for change. Instead, it suggests counselors use other career theories in their counseling approach, but that they have a meta-awareness of many issues. Because of the newness of this theory, there is much that is not understood about how various constructs within the theory relate to each other. At this point, there is a lack of research regarding the psychology of working theory, but studies into the implications of this theory seem to be growing in number each year. Though addressing macro issues, this theory relates most specifically to macro issues in a North American environment, and is likely not as applicable in many developing nations, or in those nations without a free market economy. So, while it addresses the marginalized within relatively wealthy countries, this theory does not address the marginalized peoples of the world.